All right, so welcome to Unit 5, Analyze and Interpret Student Data. And, this unit here, when I go over this training, a lot of it's going to be watching the videos that I have, not this video, the videos in the playlist where it teaches you how to actually, you know, uh, work with these functions and create these types of charts and things like that. Now, I'm not saying this isn't important because this is good to know how it's used, and it'll do a good summary and things like that to watch this video. And not all of it's Google Sheets. The third section here focuses on Google Forms, a little bit on Google Sites, but a lot of it is having to watch that other video. There's one with conditional formatting. I'm going to show you what that one looks like to prepare you for this section. Now, I want to say when I took this, I remember taking this the Unit 2, the Level 2 exam, and I remember this being the most difficult section, and I remember especially the charts. I had a rough time with because I kind of forgot some stuff. So I'm gonna give you a heads up here. This this might be your toughest section too. I thought the Level 2 test was easier than the Level 1 test, but I thought this section right here was the sheets in Level 2 were much harder than doing Google Sheets in Level 1. So I also attached in this course a video link to a review of Google Sheets from Level 1, which you should do. Remember, Level 2 expects you to remember everything from Level 1. So I don't want to waste too much time here, but we're going to get into it. So, all right. So, Unit 5 is broken down into three different sections. Visualize results quickly, okay? Make sense of large data sets, and accelerate learning with shorter feedback loops. So the first two sections, visualize results and make sense, that's mostly Google Sheets. And then the last sections like Google Forms and a little bit of Google Sites. So let's get into it here. All right, so this is the task list. All right, if you want this Google Slides PowerPoint, I have a link. I'll put a link below to the course, and if you want to get this link, if you want to get this Google Slides presentation, you could click here and it'll take you to my sections in the video where it shows you exactly how to do it. In other videos. However, it's all out there for you. Okay, it's all out there actually in this video here. If you take a look here on the side, you'll see them all. I go over all of them. And this is a review of Level 1. All right. So some of the things you have to know. You got to know the sort function, sum, unique, create visualizations, filter data. I remember being, filters big here. In the Level 2, and I remember having a problem with that too. I did pass, but it was a struggle. And then forms and import data from sheets. This is all Level 1. That's form stuff. That's not too tough. All right, so like I said, excuse me, go back and watch this video. Okay, this is from the Level 1 training course. All right, so you're gonna need that review. All right, so visualize results quickly. All right, so we learned from the previous unit that remember, forms is to collect information, to get information. Okay, and then once you get information, you want to store it in sheets so that you can create charts and you can visualize it. And not only can you visualize information with charts and sheets, you can do color coding and things like that. So I'm gonna jump back here, and I'm gonna actually open this up and show you some other links, because I think with this section it's really important that you kind of see this stuff. So I'm gonna add a little bit more to this presentation. So as education becomes more guided by data, okay, the need to effectively analyze and interpret data is more crucial. Okay, teaching has changed because 30 years ago it was the teacher that really just brought the knowledge. The teacher had the knowledge on World War II, and would tell it to the students, and that's how the students will learn. Where now with the internet, the students can just get all that knowledge from the internet. They can even get math knowledge by looking up a video. So teaching is becoming a lot more just analyzing data and testing. uh, that's the reality. So Google Sheets is the tool that allows educators to compile, manage, and most importantly interpret large amounts of data. Okay, so conditional formatting, and in this section right here, visualizing results quickly, the main focus is conditional formatting. So with conditional formatting, individual cells can be color coded, have a color coded outlet based on criteria, and I'll show you an example too. This allows the teacher to easily notice areas that need focus. And the color they usually do is like red. You know what I mean? If you're going to do conditional formatting, you're going to make the students that are failing make that red. You know what I mean? All right, so applying conditional formatting. Spreadsheets can be daunting when looking at a lot of numbers and text. We know that. That's why I think this is the hardest section for anybody taking a test, because it seems like the scariest. And, the scarier the situation, the less likely you are to want to, study it. You'll be more likely to skip this section. Making information or data more visual by automatically changing the colors. It kind of makes the information come alive. You can do some real cool things with conditional formatting based on custom formulas. Okay, so here's a list of Google Sheets functions. I'm going to actually exit out of this here because I want to show it to you. And it might take a little more time here, but I'm going to show you. All right, these are the Google Sheet functions. And I'm going to show you how many there are. And somebody asked me the other day, they're like, "Oh, what functions do I have to know?" You don't have to. Oh, you only have to know the ones that they tell you to know on the Google Level 2 Educator site. But just take a look here. And when they say functions, this is like what they talk about, the function list. And I swear they've added a bunch, because I remember, like, when I started doing this course like 5, 10 years ago, it wasn't this as I go down. But just take a look here. So if you're ever looking for something, and you see engineering, date, database array, you can kind of filter it by the type. It goes all the way down here. So if you want to, let's see, filter finance, math, these are ones you can find for math and things like this. But you don't have to know all that. But I just want you to see where you can get it. Okay, where you can find like all these types of functions. So I'm going back to the course here. Now, again, right, we're talking about applying. Give it a sec. It'll pop up real fast. All right, so those are some of the functions. Okay, now custom functions can be used for conditional formatting. Okay, remember we said that the conditional formatting, you can use to color code is one of the big things. You can apply conditional formatting to a cell. You can do it by date, numbers, or even text. Okay, so the Google Teacher Center, which is now Skills, or the Skill Shop, whatever they're calling it, they provide a video for you. Okay, so I want to show you that video. It's not, I didn't make my own video on that, because if the Google Teacher Center puts it out there, you're probably better off to just watching their one. Okay. Now listen, as more videos are introduced, be sure to try and actually do the functions. All right. This is like the best advice I could give you. If you want to pass this Google test, or any type of technology test. If I wanted to teach you how to play football, you know what I mean, I can give you a book that says, oh, here's the rules of football, and then you could read the book, and then I could ask you questions about football, and you're not going to really know. The best thing you can do is go out there, grab the ball, go to the park, and just go play with some people, and you'll learn the rules as you go, because you'll make mistakes. So you have to really try these out here. All right. I'm going to go back and show you the video, the one from the Google Teacher Center here. Okay. It's right. Sorry. I thought I had it open. I'll go back one more. All right, so this is from their Google, fridge. This is the one here. All right. So you can find it on their website. I have a link there. So watch this. Okay. I forget how long it is. I don't think it's too long. But if they put it here, definitely know it. Um. Okay. Here's a copy of conditional. Not just Here's a copy they give. And I want to go back to show you like examples here, and I'll get into a little bit more detail as we go. So if you're doing conditional, so it says copy of conditional formatting examples. Okay, so we'll start with the first one here, and they mention alternate rows. Okay, notice the different colors here, right? This is one here. Look at the bottom, alternate rows. Okay, the next one here, color scale. Okay, notice the different colors and the different shades here. All right. This is revealed 3 text, so like junk food is kind of pink, and healthy food is like blue. Okay. Change row color down here. Okay, so late is what do you call it? Yellow, and received is just normal. Okay. Check out this one here. All right. So this is a heat map. okay, as they call it. And notice look at the red colors, the most bright red colors. What do you have here? Like a 19, the lowest grade, a 25, the lowest grade. So again, like you have to, in order for you to fully understand this, I would, and I have a video here. It's inserted in here on different, different, using functions and things like that. And you have to use this one too. You got to watch this video too. So it'll all help you out. And I got this from the Google Trainer Center, this thing right here. And lastly, this is a spark lines. Take a look here. Okay, and you could kind of see, look, I'm going to open this up. You see right up here? Chart type, bar, max, and everything like that. So, watch the video they give you, and then you can use this here. Now I'm going to go back. Sorry. I'm going to go back to our presentation. Okay. All right, so it says, and it's loading, but it won't take too long. All right, so it's coming up now. All right, so you can color every other row of a sheet using the modulo function, which finds a remainder and divides by 2. This is just one that they happen to give you. Okay, modulo, but there's so many out there. Remember, what I showed you those little tabs at the bottom, all those different types of things you can do with conditional formatting, with the heat maps and everything. Teachers can organize, and these are just some examples here of visualizing results. Remember, we're using Google Sheets to visualize results. So teachers can organize all the students' reading logs in a sheet, and students can keep track of their progress in one column using percentages. With the log, there's different shades of green you could do. One of them I showed you was different shades of green. I think it was like the second one. So as they get further through the book, it gets darker green and darker green till the book's completed. Teachers, other teachers have students keep a food log in health class. So you talk about the food log, think about the one with the junk food, okay? That's down there at the bottom. So we set up conditional formatting rules so that foods change to green, and you can't see it here because it's loading. Green is probably healthy, and red is the junk food. So this slide really goes over that you know that that spreadsheet that I showed you. All right, so visualizing results here, and this is more of the same thing of the spreadsheet. So to highlight a whole row, if the value in column B is late, and do you remember the one we had late? I think all late was orange. So you know it has here B1 equals late, and this you might get. You might kind of forget about how this is. You might forget how this works. So that's why you got to go back and watch those videos. Consider using this for keeping track of permission forms. So if it's late, if permission forms aren't, turned in on time. As a teacher, you can use the color scale option in conditional formatting to create a kind of heat map. Now the fifth tab I showed you was the heat map one, which I thought was kind of cool. Okay. For analysis, different shades of red. Remember, you can't read the bottom here. This damn thing. So different shades of red. Probably it says was used to analyze different grades. So like the more red it is, the lower the grade. I don't exactly remember, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it should be. It's gonna pop up right. Yeah. Okay. So popped up for a second. So different shades of red are used. So lower scores are darker red than the higher score. So the lower scores, the more red it is. All right. So importing a spreadsheet is I pulled this up here too for you because I remember that being important. So to import a spreadsheet, take a look. You're gonna go to File, Import, okay, and then My Drive, and then just pick your spreadsheet here. So I'm picking the wedding plan one, and I just go to Select, and then it's gonna go once it's imported. It'll be on the little bottom by the tab there. So it's just a quick outline for you. All right. So question one: what feature is used to color code cells based on their content? Conditional formatting, right? That's this whole section I said. Conditional formatting was the main thing. So it's gonna be you can be sure it'll be on the test. Which Google Sheets function creates line graphs and different types of bar charts right in the cell of the spreadsheet? Let's go through them. The spark line. You remember that last one? Remember I showed you that little line graph at the end, the spark line. That was the last one. At the end, it had like a little like a little line graph. Okay. Custom functions can be used for conditional formatting. Is that true? Yeah, right. We saw a whole bunch of different ones, right? A whole bunch of different ones. You know, it's not an unlimited amount, but a lot of them. Okay. Which of the following ways can you apply conditional formatting to a cell? All right. So one of these aren't going to work, and just take a look here before I even show you the answer. Okay. Are you gonna be able to insert an image in a cell? No, right? So that's not going to be one. But Google wants to show you here all the things you can do: numbers, text, dates. All right, here. This is still makes sense of large data sets. This is still part of a Google Sheets we're still focusing on here, right? So I said sections 1 and 2 are Google Sheets. All right, this is where I really go over the things here in this video. I'm going to go back just to show you the little thing. It says unique filter. Oh man, it's going so fast. Pivot tables, radar charts, count IF. All of that's in this video here, and it's in the playlist. Now, like I said, those charts. I remember this section. I remember taking a test, and I remember this section being difficult. Thank you. So, all right. So working with big data now. So as it becomes easier for educators to collect data, and it's easy to collect data, using Google Forms and quizzes and whatnot, it's increasingly necessary to know what tools to exhibit the data in a meaningful way. Now, there's this one. They give you a link here in the skill shop. Public data. It's like a web page. I'm going to pull it up for you in a second. So it's used to explore like educational trends, and it adds dimensions of time and value, creates representation. I'm going to show it to you. It's really not important, but they put it here. I wouldn't worry too much about this. So I'm going to X out again. Damn. Here we go. So where is it? Here it is. So it's coming up now, and I wouldn't worry too much about this. And just here, take a look. What are we doing? Life expectancy. Eh, you could see. Okay, notice the different colors and things like that. And it's just really for you to explore with your students. International trade. It's don't worry too much. But this is just a look at it if you wanted to see. So let me go back. So that's public data. So it says here, it allows teachers and students to explore, different variables and things like that. You know, I think Google just wants to get to, people using the public data site. Last bullet says the motion of colorized data points uncover academic trends. So they want you to use it for education. You're gonna have to filter in there. That would be incredibly difficult to replicate with raw data. I think it says. All right, so now we're getting to now pivot tables. Okay, this is important. The previous public data, don't worry too much about that. Pivot tables are another tool that provide a dynamic interface for working with large data sets. It includes the ability to create custom calculations. All right. Now, these tables draw results directly from the original data and therefore always reflect current information. Whether by date, score, grade level, year, users can quickly switch inputs and access of the data. So it's like you want to keep these pivot tables, and then you can insert data for maybe one class or for one thing and another, and kind of keep it set the way it is. Now again, I hate that I have to keep saying this here, but you got to a lot of it's because this is a lot of complicated stuff. The best way is to watch that video. Now, advanced tools for data analysis. Let me go back to it. I just want to show you something else before I jump ahead. Okay, here's just a copy of a pivot table. Just so you have an idea of what it looks like. And again, none of this is mine. I got this from the Google the Google Skill Shop. And first, just to show you too where I got there. First, it took me here. Okay, and here's what it is: create and use pivot tables. I went down here and it was make a copy. It's not popping up. And I just made a copy with this information, and if Google's putting it here, they know teachers use this, so it would make sense that during the exam they would have something similar to this. So here we go. Let's take a look at a pivot table. And I remember having a trouble filtering when I took the test, and having a trouble with charts and pivot tables and whatnot. All right, so here. All right, so here's the data. Look down, if you could see where my thing is down below in the bottom left hand corner. It's on data set. Okay. Now I clicked it. Now it's on data set, so you could see the data here. And then I can click pivot table. Okay, and then this is like, this is, I think this is about sales. Who's the best earner? The average price per unit. This is important too. The pivot table editor. I mean, you'll see that in the video, and it's not as complicated as it looks. And lastly, with a pivot table with calculated field. So it's as we go, you know what I mean. Pivot tables, you want to think that their big goal is to summarize information, right? So we're talking about large data sets. You want to summarize information. Okay, now let me go back. So again, right, it's makes sense of large data sets. And I don't think I'm going to be Xing out of this presentation much anymore. So sometimes you might want to rank or sort rows in a spreadsheet. That's where the sort function comes in. That's nothing new. You did that in level 1. Filtering data, okay, you can filter by grade level, period, single student. You definitely know how to do that. So while the filter function creates a static view of data, you can also filter large sets of data more dynamically using the filter tool. Okay, so be able to use the filter tool. This tool creates it creates a drop down menu, which is nice and easy too, in a column, and allows you to change different criteria. I'm not going to go back to it, but if you look at them, there's like a little arrow at the top of some of them. I should have went into more detail, but you'll see it in the video. And it's much easier using the drop down. All right, so like I said, pivot table is important, right? So it's a convenient tool to compare different aspects of data, and are typically built to summarize data numerically, right? We said summarize. For example, a teacher might give a quiz and organize the results by grade level, or summarize the data. Look at what they give you: count, sum, average. Also, a radar chart. Okay, if during the test they always switch things up. Maybe it's a radar chart, not a pivot table. But so a radar chart is a useful tool for teachers to compare individuals to a large group. All right, notice the difference here, right? To compare individuals to a large group, such as a class to an entire school, where a pivot table is a tool to compare various aspects of a data set, kind of within each other. So to be able to differentiate that, now with a radar chart, the data is displayed such that the spokes of the chart represent individual variables. And I always thought a radar chart, the way it looks, is pretty cool. It's like a giant circle. You'll see in the video. All right, so more advanced tools. The count if function, okay? It's count if, all right? So remember the if part. So the count if function tallies how many times something appears based on set criteria, okay? Remember, the if means, okay, if this, then, count. For example, a teacher could count how many times a student appears in the list by limiting the count to just the student's name. The sum if, right? Sum is the total amounts based on a set criteria, okay? So this is important here, setting the criteria. For example, a teacher could total student scores based on the student's name. All right, whereas think about it. Whereas the level 1 test, maybe it wasn't so much set on a criteria. It was just be able to add all the numbers. So you can be able to differentiate right now. It's level 2. They expect you to know more. All right, so be able to perform the following task: sort, filter, right? Filter tools. We talked about the difference between the two, right? Filter tools in view. Like I said, that gave me a hard time. Creating a pivot table, creating a radar chart, and count if, right? And sum if, right? Remember, set criteria with the if. All right, so tracking growth across a district. So I will look at this example of Google Sheet with charts and pivot tables used to analyze school data. So here's the pivot tables and chart. I think I didn't create this myself. I got it from the Google Trainer Center. So it's the different schools here, and you could kind of see, look at the different schools, and then it's kind of differentiated the different colors here for the different years all the way to 2015. And then you could see the school's name. Like, this is Thomas Jefferson. down here, and then you could see the different years, and it kind of compares everything. Okay, so what chart would be the best to compare individual group to the larger population? Remember I said that earlier. Yes, the radar chart, right? If it's the individual to the larger group, you want to do the radar chart. Okay, pie charts and bar charts were talked about in the level 1. Which function will give you the total number of times a value appears if the set criteria is met? Okay, so notice it's count if, right? Not count, just count, because it's count if because it's set criteria. Okay, whereas if it was just the number of times it appears, then you would just have count. Okay, the option to summarize data in a pivot table report include, and I think this was covered in the slide too, sum, count A, and average. Yeah, that's back in one of the slides too we went over. Now, if you change the sort or filter criteria in a filter view, everyone viewing that sheet will also have their data sorted and filtered. So think about what this asks here. If you change it in a filter view, is it going to affect everyone viewing the sheet? Well, no. All right, Google does a good job to make sure that doesn't happen. All right, here's the third section, and this is different now. We're off sheets, which is like a good thing. So we're now going to forms, and I think it's sites. So accelerate learning with shorter feedback loops. So this is like just assessment, kind of just getting information and getting it out to the students faster. So whereas the previous two sections were just kind of analyzing, this is getting the information out to them. Oftentimes, regular and effective assessments are sacrificed because there isn't sufficient time to create, deliver, grade, analyze. So they're saying there's just not enough time. To combat this, you can use Google Forms and Google Classroom to quickly assess students and get the information out to them. Remember, Forms now has quizzes, and I'm going to get to that in a second. With minimal setup, using these tools, teachers, they can build assessments, okay, in Forms and Classroom, and they can deliver them to the students. You can have, Google analyze their, grade it for you. You can analyze the results with sheets, and you could provide individualized feedback based on performance, okay, using both of these here. Now, building formative assessments, right? And it's important to know what a formative assessment is, right? A formative assessment is different than a summative assessment, which is like a unit test. A diagnostic test assessment is given early on just to see where the students are and what they know. A formative assessment is like shouldn't be graded. Okay, it's kind of like just a check for understanding. All right, so properly crafted formative assessments, and formative assessments should happen, directly. Formative assessments should be integrated into the instruction, like right in the middle. So properly crafted formative assessments can be efficient mechanisms for teachers when gauging student learning throughout the lesson, as opposed to waiting for the end. So you don't want to wait and have a summative assessment. You want to do it in the middle to see how they're doing. This type of, quote, in progress evaluations of student learning helps educators make subtle, substantial changes to teaching methods so that all students can master content. If you can't argue how important formative assessment is as a teacher. Google Classroom will be covered again. And Google Classroom can be used in ways that can provide individualized instruction, assessment, and feedback. Just came out with a video covers everything you need to know about Google Classroom. It's about 40 different tasks. Okay, it's inserted here, and we'll get to it later on. Up next, there are 3 different examples using Google Forms. So let's see how you can use Google Forms for building formative assessments. Okay, this is an older form video that I did from Unit 1. Okay, you should have an idea. Like I said, for Level 2, you should already know stuff from Level 1. Now, I also have a new Google Forms video that I dropped, I don't know, a couple days ago, which goes over everything here, and I might just use that to replace this one. So, building formative assessments. So, Google Forms quiz. The quiz portion of Google Forms may be the biggest time-saving feature. Teachers can assign correct and incorrect answers as well as feedback, and empower their students to receive scores upon submitting the answers. If you ever want to create a quiz in Google Forms, open up the form, you go to the little gear icon in the top right, and you go to on the right, you'll see a tab that says quizzes. You want to click this little button that says make quiz, and from there you create a question, and then you'll just, at the bottom, it'll say answer key, set your answer key, and you're pretty much ready to go. Okay, file upload. File uploads allow for a more open-ended formative assessment. So if teachers want to know if students can identify a specific plant or hear them reciting a new language, Forms can collect images, audio recordings, even videos. This is important with the distant learning and remote teaching that's going on now, with all this chaos and if schools reopening and whatnot. So this whole Google, just learning this right now is really important for where education is. So building formative assessments, you can actually insert images as answer examples, and during the previous Google Forms video I dropped. For example, it's like identify the carbohydrate polymer or something like that, and I had three different, like I had a protein, I had a carbohydrate, and I had a lipid, and it was a chemical, it was an image of chemical structures. So that's one way you could do it. Google Forms, it says that you can use images as answer selections, and I had the students select which one. So instead of asking students to provide written answers, they could pick from a list of solutions and have the image there. So like I had to pick the image of the carbohydrate formula. All right, so here's just a little bit of information on just delivering assessments. So, when you deliver an assessment, you have to define the purpose or objectives, as they say. If you're in Google Classroom, when you deliver an assignment, there's actually this thing called instructions. And in the instructions, you can give, details about how to complete the assignment. And you can also attach documents and videos. You can attach documents, videos from YouTube, to sort of as like as like a backup. If you check for, instead of checking for prior understanding, just put it out there for the students that need it. Learning outcomes. Okay, there's a feature in Google Classroom that's called topics. I use that to separate everything. So I'll have a topic, like one topic will be, let's say you're a third grade teacher. You could have like math topic, and then you could have reading topic, and then you could have language arts topics, and you could filter like that assignments. The topics you'll find when you create the assignment, there'll be a little tab there for you to choose a topic. You just would put the name in. Again, that's all in the Google Classroom video. But it also says here, use the topics for learning outcomes. So you can have them like skill based. You know what I mean? As a topic, like you could put oral presentation. All right, teacher needs. Forms in classrooms solve big problems for teachers because these tools provide flexible formative assessments. You can organize student work, and they decrease time between teaching content and understanding the impact. That is true. Google Classroom, it is a lifesaver, and Google Forms, I think they focus on quizzes here, okay, because they can automatically grade it for you. Even taking that little, I forget what it's called, the Scantron, doing the Scantron, even that takes time. Because you got to put them in one at a, you got to put you got to first make the original copy with the answers that you want, and then put that in. So it still takes time doing that. Highlight student progress. Okay, that's kind of like the whole theme of this unit here. So since Google Forms collects all the responses on a spreadsheet, remember that's what Google Forms does, then you can use it to visualize results quickly. All right, which is the whole thing here, right? And then we learned all those radar charts and all that stuff. So, using this data over the course of the school year will provide an accurate picture of student learning. I always think this section right here, analyzing data and things that's more like the school administrator section. That's, although I guess, they expect teachers to be able to do it, but when I think of this section, it's like, looking across different classes and grades levels, and I could see them using, this across different schools. Yet, it is part of the teacher certification. All right, so assess students simply with impactful results. Okay, use the private comment feature in the classroom assignment to provide feedback to the students. You can do that. You can actually import results from forms. Okay, you can import quiz grades. Okay, it says here teachers can utilize the quiz feature in Google Forms to provide feedback to each student based on the questionnaire performance. And like I said, I have a forms video, and it goes over a lot of it's like just what forms was made for, which was like surveys and things like that. But I'm going to do another forms video focusing on quizzes because there's a lot to cover in there. It's easy, I think, but it's a lot to cover. If teachers only want to quickly assess their students and not delve deep into the thought process, they'll use multiple choice, checkboxes, drop down types to expedite grading. So what they're talking about here is a multiple choice and checks, but they're acting like it's lower level thinking questions. I don't know if they're tapping into Bloom's taxonomy and things like that, but just because just I don't think just because something's a multiple choice, you know what I mean, is not delving deep into the thought process. And I got this from the skill shop, so I don't know what that is. I just want to go back to quizzes too. I know I said earlier like it's real easy to do it. It's easy to start, but you know, there's there's a lot you can do with settings. All right, so lastly, using topics in classroom, you could help direct students to their objectives, questions, and resources and assignments by using topics. Topics is great for just filtering and staying organized in Google Classroom. All right, so what are some of the benefits specific to assessments using Google Classroom for assessments? Reduce the time between teaching and knowing what the students learned, right? So this whole thing here was reducing the amount of time. Google Classroom provides an opportunity to individualize instructional assessments as well as feedback. So you can have individualized instruction, you can have individualized, you can create assessments and you can get feedbacks quick. What are some benefits of using Google Classroom for assignments? Well, what are the benefits? I'm sure there's a lot, right? So quickly see what students have completed the work. You can organize into learning outcomes. Google Forms results can be imported into Google Classroom. Is that true? Yes, it's true. Yes, it's true, right? And Forms quizzes. Okay. Good formative assessments should include which of the following? Good formative assessments. Serve a defined purpose. Align with learning outcomes. Meet the needs of the teacher. And highlight student learning. Okay, this question is actually like really, it just talks about formative assessment, so it really doesn't even focus on the the Google tool. But I actually have a video on formative assessment. Maybe I should throw this in here as well. All right, so Unit 5 review. Analyze and interpret student data. With conditional formatting, teachers can alter the cell color based on the value for what? So conditional formatting, that was our first section. So they can do it for text, they can do it for dates, and they can do it for numbers. That's almost exactly like one of the previous questions. Okay, which advanced Google Sheets function gives you a list that removes all duplicate values? Unique. And I think that goes back to Unit 1 too. So unique is like you don't want to see the same answers coming up all the time. That's in one of the videos. Which criteria could a pivot table be applied to? Student names. Assignment dates, assignment scores. I mean, I'm just go back. Shared collaborators, that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Okay. What is one efficient way to format data on a sheet using color? Conditional formatting, right? And this is a long one here. All right, the 25 students in your class have used Google Form to give peer feedback on presentations they're doing. The questions are based on a rubric you created. The first question, who is presenting? There's a drop-down list of all students from the class. The other questions are based on the rubric. After the class, you want to see all the feedback that was given from Jimmy Wong. The response for who is presenting, the responses for who is presenting are listed on column C in the form response sheet. Columns D, E, and F have peer feedback. So, all right, so the peer feedback is D, E, and F, and C is what they wrote. Select a formula that could be used to show the peer feedback from D, E, and F. So which one here? I'll give you a second. Try to think this one out. Okay, you're going to filter, okay, and then it's got, D, F, well, you could see, the what is it, D, and then you've got the colons, the F, C, and it kind of filters it out. You're not going to use sum, you're not adding the things up, right? So it's not these two here. And then you want to be specific to Jimmy Wong, so you're going to go with this one here. It's hard to explain it without showing the cells and everything like that, so, All right, the next one here. Organize. All right, so this is our next unit, Unit 6. I told you I'm going to try to get this done as fast as I can. It's tough. I got a lot of things going on. I'm still doing summer school. So I'm going to try to, I'll try to get Units 6 and 7, over the weekend, or 6, 7, and 8, hopefully. And then we'll almost be done soon. We only got to go up to 11. All right, guys, I'll see you later.